Hey guys, how's it going? So today I have another haul video. This is a Tarte Cosmetics haul. I recently made some purchases from their website, and after I made my first purchase, I got an email saying I had Tarte tokens, which is basically Tarte's website's like rewards program. So it's very similar to Ulta's. So you spend money, you earn points, and then you can use those points as cash towards anything on the website. So that's what happened. I made a first purchase and then I got an email saying that I had $50 worth of Tarte tokens. So I was really excited about that because it's like free money. So I made another purchase using those $50, and I'm gonna give you some mini reviews because I have used all of these items. The first item I'm gonna talk about is the Tarte Double Duty Beauty Contour and Highlight Palette. And this says, don't be afraid to dazzle. This is the original box that it comes in. And then this is the actual packaging. It's very reflective, pretty gold. And again, it says, don't be afraid to dazzle on there in pink, and it has little stars on it. And I debated what to get with my Tarte tokens, but this I decided to pick up. It has the mirror, and then it has just the contour and highlighting powder in there. And the contour shade, or the contour shade is really soft, and I really like the tone of it. I don't know, the tone's like perfection. I feel like it's a little more on the cool side, but not too cool, not too warm. I would say a little bit more on the cool side though, for sure, but not like ashy gray or anything like that. So I love that powder. It's really, really nice, very soft, very blendable, definitely a nice contouring shade. And then the highlighter in this palette, I think they described it as a rose gold. And when I got this in the mail and I swatched it, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be too dark for my complexion. I'm not gonna be able to wear it as a highlighter. There it is there. Really pretty shade. But I do have it on today, and I feel like it works. I use my Anastasia A23 brush, which I pretty much use all the time now for a highlighter, and it kind of diffuses it. And like right here, you know, it's not blended out, so it looks dark for my complexion, but when I use that brush, I feel like it works. Now I feel like my foundation is a little bit darker today than normal, so that could be it too, but I think it's really pretty, and it applied really nicely. You can see that nice sheen that it gives. I know some people don't care for the Tarte highlighters. I mean, this is not like the smoothest highlighter I've ever touched, but it is very pigmented, as you can see, and I think it performs really nicely. So but that palette, I do like it. I think it's nice, especially if you have like a light to medium complexion. I think that it would be good, especially the highlighter. And then I picked up another highlighter. I've been wanting this one since it came out. It's the Tarte Exposed Highlight, and it's very, very pretty. I like this color a lot. Let me see. This one I feel like has a smoother texture than the other one. This one has more of a golden. I would still say it looks, I would say it's like a beigey. No, it still looks, oh my God, it looks almost like the other one. I'm gonna have to swatch them side by side. I thought it looked gold, honestly. Like it looks gold to me, in like a golden beige maybe. But when I swatch it on my hand, I feel like it does pull a little bit pink actually. But I've used this one several times, and I really, really like that one. I love the texture of it. I would say I like this one more. I like the shade of it more, and I like the texture of it a little bit more. It goes on smooth. It's beautiful on the cheeks. I just really love it. So let me just swatch the other one to compare. Yeah, this one is not as buttery as the other one, but it still performs well. Oh yeah, see, this one is darker, and it actually looks a little bit more peachy toned. So this one here is the one from the palette, and then this one here is Exposed. So see, this one looks a little bit more rose goldy peach, whereas this one looks a little bit more on the beigey pinky side. I think they're very pretty. I like them, but definitely this one is my favorite of the two. So also with my Tarte tokens, I decided to try two of their new single metallic eyeshadows. And I do have one of them on my eyes today, and it is freaking gorgeous, and the quality is awesome. So this is the Tarte Metallic Shadow in Poker Face. I know you can pop them out of the pans, That's what it looks like. So this is the one I have on my lids. These are incredibly soft and pigmented. When I got these in the mail and I swatched them, I was like totally impressed. And then when I applied them to my eyes, I was even more impressed because the way it looks on my finger is the way it goes on the eyes with a brush. So let me just swatch that for you. I mean, look at that pigmentation. And they're so soft. I would say the texture of it definitely reminds me of the Makeup Geek foiled shadows. So this is very, very similar to that in texture, pigmentation, and formula. So that is gorgeous. I think they described it as like a lilac silver or something like that. And that is the shade that I'm wearing on my eyelids today. Stunning. I almost want to purchase them all, but I think they're like, they might be $12 or $14 each, which is kind of a lot, you know, but there are eyeshadows that are like $28 each, which I purchased in the past. So, I mean, these are not overly expensive, but they're not Makeup Geek prices either, you know what I mean? So this one is called Grind. And this one, I think they describe it maybe as a taupe. And let me tell you how many grams. You get 2 grams in these. So this one, really pretty color. I don't know, it's funny because I thought it pulled a little green, but then I used it like last week on my lids and I didn't feel like it looked green on my lids. I don't know. And now I'm looking at it and I feel like it definitely looks like a taupey silver maybe, with a little bit of brown in it. They're both pretty. I would definitely purchase more of those because I think the quality of them is really, really nice. Really nice. So next I picked up their new Pro palettes. These I did purchase, and this is the Tarte Pro Amazonian Clay palette. And this is the eyeshadow palette. So I really like the packaging of this. I like that it's gold and black. It does show all your fingerprints, but it's very easy to wipe off because this is not rubberized, it's just plastic. So you can just wipe it right off. So the packaging is really nice. Both of these palettes are very heavy, so they do have some substantial weight to them. So I think the packaging is nice. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It does come with a full-sized mirror, and you get a total of 20 eyeshadows in here. And I'm sorry that my light is kind of reflecting on the packaging. It's just a very, very reflective packaging. But you get all of these mattes here, and then you get these 4 metallics. And I just love this palette because these are all colors I love. Like there's some warm tones, there's some cool tones, there's some like orangey, purple, berry, browns, black, cream, and white shades. Like everything that I would need to make a look is in this palette. And then you have the nice pop of like a bluish green shade here, and then these beautiful metallics to put on the lid. So I've been using this palette for, I feel like it's been 2 weeks or maybe more than 2 weeks now. And I've used pretty much all of the shades in here, and I just absolutely love it. I do have some of the mattes in my crease today, along with that single shadow that I showed you. But I personally love this palette. I know some people don't. But if you are a fan of their previous Tartelette palettes, like the Tartelette in Bloom and the original Tartelette palette, I think you would love this. I feel like the quality of the mattes is the same. And I personally love both of those other palettes. So this one I was expecting to be the same quality, and it is for sure. I feel like Tarte is stepping up their game with their eyeshadows, because previously, in previous years, I feel like some of their eyeshadows were very chalky and dry, whereas now they just feel nice, smooth and creamy. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of them feel more creamy than others, but I think the quality is better than they used to be, for sure. Sorry, I'm making a mess here and I'm trying. So I'm just gonna insert pictures of swatches of this palette instead of showing you like live, but if you haven't checked out this palette, definitely recommend it. I personally love it. Again, if you like the Tartelette palettes, I think you would like this one as well. The metallics are nice, I would feel. So the metallics in that palette are on par with these single ones that I showed you. They're very soft and very pigmented, and they go on the eyes just as well. I feel like the lasting power on all of these eyeshadows is good for me, but I do not have oily eyelids, so just keep that in mind. I'm loving the palette. So lastly, I purchased the Tarte Pro Glow palettes, and again, it has the black and gold packaging. This one does have that rubberized feel to it. You can wipe it clean because it does, you know, get fingerprints on it. But this has two little flaps, so you get a mirror on each side, so you can use the palette like this, or this way, you know, if you just want to use the mirror from the palette. I personally don't love the style of the palette, that it has the two little doors. I don't know, I guess I just prefer one. But it's not bad, I just prefer it to be more like this eyeshadow palette where you just flip up the lid. So in this palette, you get a total of 6 products. You get the 4 highlighters at the top, you get this contouring bronzing shade at the bottom, and you get this one here that's a cream for contouring. I personally don't like when companies mix creams with powders because some of the powder is going to fall out into the cream. I feel like with opening it up to use some of the other products that this eventually is going to dry out quicker than maybe if it was on its own, you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm not a fan when they mix a cream into a powder palette. I don't like all the fallout going into my creams. So I have used all of these. I feel like these 3 highlighters here have a little bit more of a powdery, chunkier texture. More with these 2 here, these 2 darker ones. This one isn't as bad, but it's still a little bit more like powdery than this one. I feel like this one has the nicest texture and it has the most reflectiveness to it, I feel. So let me just go over the names really quickly. This is Lit, Fire, and Shade. This is Strobe, Stunner, and Sculpt. So these here are better for people with a lighter complexion. I would say these are better here for people with a medium to dark complexion. I think if you have a medium skin tone, you could probably use all of them. This one might be a little bit light, but it's not suited for everybody, I don't think. Because if you're super dark, I think these 2 over here might be a little bit too light for you. And if you're very light or fair complected, I think these are definitely too dark because they're too dark for me. That's the other thing I wish companies wouldn't do, is I wish they would come out with a palette that's more suited for people with fair skin or light skin, and then they would have a separate palette for people with a darker skin tone. You know what I mean? Just because like all of these highlighters are not going to work for me. Obviously I can use them as eyeshadow, but I'm not going to get as much use out of it because of that. So my favorite side is obviously this one here. It just works better for my complexion. As far as the highlighters go, I like the bronzing powder. It's very similar to the one in the palette that I showed you a little while ago. And then the cream contour, it's okay, I just wish it wasn't in this palette. I wish they would have thrown another powder product in here. I feel like the highlighters, these 3 here, work a little bit better with a synthetic brush. I just think it picks up the product better just because, like I said, they feel a little bit more on the powdery side. Whereas this one here, I feel like it works either with synthetic or like a fluffier, natural haired brush. So this one here is my favorite in texture and finish and everything. I just think it's the nicest one. I have used all of them. I used the darker ones as eyeshadows, and I've used the other ones as eyeshadows and highlighters. And I do like the palette, but I'm not in love with it, and I don't think it's a must-have for sure. I just don't think it's a must-have palette at all. So the cream contour, I think it blends out nicely. I do like it, but I'm not a huge cream person, so I don't use a lot of cream products. So I just don't see myself reaching for this that often. I do really like the Sculpt shade, the powder bronzer. It's very nice, very smooth, nice and easy to blend on the skin. So overall, for the money, I'm not in love with it, just because I feel like I'm only going to use half of the palette, whereas this other half I'm not going to really use too often. So I don't know. I haven't watched a whole lot of other people review this. I don't think I've watched any reviews, so I don't know what other people think about it, but those are my thoughts about this palette. I will insert pictures of it if you are wondering. So I wanted to give you a little comparison with the 2 bronzing powders. The top one here is from the Pro Glow palette, and the bottom one here is from the Double Duty palette. So as you can see, they're actually different. I thought maybe they were going to be the same, and I'm actually happy that they're different. This one is more warm toned, whereas this one definitely looks more cool toned. And I said before that it seemed more like neutrally, but compared to a warm toned bronzer, it definitely looks more cool toned. So I was happy to report that they're not the same powders. But that is all that I purchased from Tarte Cosmetics. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have either one of these palettes or any of these products, actually let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I love you. Have an amazing day.